Hey everyone, Matt from Narrowland here with our new tutorial for this week. So we've had a lot of questions on how to set up projects with proper spacing, kind of proper sizing and things like that. And also how do we do that quickly and kind of keep our signature design style applied to all projects in some form or another. So we have a really simple style page that we launch every project with, and I thought I would just go through what we keep on there and kind of some of the rationale behind our decisions. So as you'll see, we have the Narrowland design kit, and anytime we need to start a new project, we just go ahead and duplicate that and then name it accordingly. So once we hop in there, we have the home page, a thank you page, because I never want to forget that. But most importantly, the style page, which is set up with our sections, our container, all of our fonts, headers, and paragraph. We keep our lists in there. We keep our buttons, columns, or layouts that we know we're going to use frequently. Any kind of like divs that we know we're going to need to replicate frequently. And we like to have a form ready as well. So the first thing you'll probably notice at the top, why do we have two of each heading style, or really each type of text content? So if you click on the top one, heading 1, you'll see that we've assigned H1, and it has a padding underneath of 16 pixels. We use a 4-point grid system whenever we're designing. 16 just feels like the right amount of padding for the type of work that we do. And we start off at 48 pixels, with 1.2 EM line height, 1.25 EM line height. And this will obviously shift from project to project, as I'll show you in a minute, but it's set up and it's ready to go. And then as you size down, those sizes are already included as well. So we're down to 42 pixels. We keep it at 42, and here we go again. But if you wanted to say go down to 36 pixels for landscape or portrait orient on a phone, you have the option to do that. Why are there two of them? Because we don't want to have to assign the H1 to everything. We want to work faster and not have code bloat. So this one is our all H1 headings. So by default, our H1 headings are going to follow the settings that we put here. We do 2 because if you have the H1, then you have the ability to, say, add a no padding version, for example. So for this version, we could take it away. Or you might want to do intro, where you need more padding underneath. So we'll say 40 pixels for the intro. So when you have the H1 and the combo class, you can do a lot there, but you aren't able to do those with the all H1 headings. There's no option to add something like that in. So that's why we have 2 of each. So those are our starting numbers. We have 48 pixel size on heading 1, 36 on 2, 32 on 3, 24 on 4, and then 22 on H5s. These are inside of a container. We just call it container, and I set a max width at 1440 pixels. Works well with a 12-column layout, and it just kind of keeps everything tidy. I don't like my sites getting too massive, so as you might have noticed, if you look at our work, everything kind of stays centered on the page and just doesn't stretch out to the point where it looks pretty rotten, in my opinion. How do we keep our margins there? Our section. So our section, real simple, 5% padding on each side. So that's always going to keep things looking tidy. And then I leave 100 pixels between each section on desktop. And as you'll see as we go down to mobile, I drop it to 80. In some cases where needed, we drop it to even 60 pixels between sections, but typically 100 pixels between sections on desktop. Sometimes we go a little bigger if needed, sometimes a little smaller, and then 80 on mobile. So again, it's just setting the table. It's giving us like a standard to either proceed with or deviate from if needed. Same rationale here in our next section. So 2 versions of the paragraph for all the different kinds. We leave a little bit more padding under the paragraph, so I go with 24 pixels padding instead of 16 like on the headers. And the 2 versions, again, gives me the ability to create combo classes if needed, like I have last in there. So no padding if it's the last paragraph, right? I also, we use emphasis text a lot, you've probably noticed, in, intro section or intro sections on a lot of our websites. So that's what we have here. And again, that scales down nicely to different browser sizes as needed. We have our lists, same thing. So we have a all unordered lists and a all list items. So, that's usually just matching the specs that you see up here on paragraphs. But then in case we need to do anything special with lists, we have list and list item as well. I do deviate from the 4-point grid system every once in a while. Don't know why, but I just like 10 pixels in between list items. Seems to look a little bit better. Links, same thing. So generally we're going to want those to be the same size as our paragraph. And then I have the, all links and an actual link in case we need to, say, change color or size or font weight, something like that. We're usually needing 2 or 3 different kinds of buttons on the website. So we'll have all of those there, and then, make changes as needed. So you see, like, we have 404 page or left, but sometimes we'll have a blue button, a white button, a transparent button, et cetera, et cetera. The button is also a good chance for us to add our columns, which we use all the time. So I've had a tutorial on this before, but we just use a simple div for our columns. So that's like the basic column setting. Everything pushes to the top and justifies left. And then, as you saw, it knows to collapse down for desktop, for mobile, rather. We use a lot of 2-column layouts with an image and then a paragraph. So that's just all set up. So we have our right text column ready to go, as well as our image column. I also preload an image in there, just keep it basic, but 100% width. You can add some drop shadow or something if you like. And then these are smart and they collapse down as well. So for example, my image column has 40 pixels padding. Sometimes we go with a little less, a little more, but there you go. Another div that we use frequently is buttons, where we put 2 of them side by side and then kind of have it collapse as needed for mobile. Eventually they do that. So we always load that in there, and that's just a very simple flex layout, horizontal with everything centered. Forms, very seldom you're going to get through a website without needing a form. So I like to at least have my text fields, 48 pixels high, named, as well as my field labels. So all labels, and then another button there. And then lastly, as I said, recurring divs. So if there's anything that you use a lot. So for example, we typically will use an intro text box that is 60, maybe 70% of the full browser width. So I have that down there just ready to go, if needed. So if you, break this out and take a look at what it looks like when you jump into an actual project, some good parity here. Put that down at the bottom. We have our style page. So our H1s are much smaller. On the example I showed you, we were going with 48 pixels, but this project called for 32. Also, it's not Montserrat anymore. You probably noticed we have the custom font loaded in there, the Lexen variable. Paragraphs are the same, but different font weight. So this is what it would look like kind of in practice. So we have our button there. We have our outline button. This one changes background color just a little bit, and then that we never used. So in practice, this is what it starts to look like. See that we have our text fields. We rounded them off a little bit and added some light background color there. And then we did retain our intro text box and kept that at 60%. So this allows us to really kind of fly through our builds. Of course, some of these are more complex for different projects. We may have like collection items or say even navigation or footer elements in there. But this is a great way to get started, kind of retain your signature style or at least a signature starting point for each project and start to build and iterate quickly. So I hope that this helps, and please, leave us comments, questions, feedback. We love it all. Thanks, guys.